1 week before the COVID-19 pandemic struck the world, RFG Advisory hosted its annual advisor retreat from March 10th to the 13th on Captiva Island in Florida. Our guest of honor and keynote speaker was the great Dom Raso, a veteran Navy SEAL Team 6 warrior and founder CEO of Dynamis Alliance. Bobby White, RFG Advisory's founder and CEO, has been training with Dom in his civilian warrior program for almost 4 years and still is today. Yet somehow Bobby knew instinctively that this was exactly the right time to introduce RFG advisors to Dom's training and his crush everything mindset. What we didn't know at the time when we sat down to record this exclusive interview with Bobby and Dom was how prescient this conversation would be. What's needed today more than ever in the face of challenge and uncertainty is a warrior mindset and a servant heart, exactly the values we embrace. We invite you to take part in this amazing and transformative series featuring Bobby White and Dom Raso. All right. Theme of today, what is holding you back? Let's talk about fear. Fear is a debilitating emotion. I think we've all felt that firsthand in 2020 with what's been going on. Fear can prevent an advisor from making a transition,
Absolutely.
from formulating a succession plan, from growing their practice, from having a difficult conversation with their partner or with their team member. And it really can prevent advisors from taking the steps that they need to move forward. So talk to us about your thoughts about fear and why you believe it is limiting advisors' success.
Well, you said it yourself. What we fear can keep us from reaching is the biggest thing that can keep us from reaching our full potential. 98% of the people and that's not just advisors, people in general are paralyzed by fear. We saw that, continue to see that with coronavirus, COVID-19, the social unrest we've experienced this year. 2020 has been a heck of a year for everybody. I think we can all agree. And we've witnessed it firsthand how fear negatively affects people in their decision-making process. Relate that back to an advisor, you're absolutely right. And, advisors, I've been doing this 22 years. I know I've mentored, I've recruited, I've worked with hundreds of advisors, and I am an advisor. So I know this firsthand. We are very fearful people. We fear change, number one. We fear the unknown. We fear losing our identity. We fear, we're going to lose assets. We're going to lose clients. All that is part of most advisors' mindset. And you've got to crush that fear, plain and simple. If you have fear, it's going to paralyze you, and it's going to be debilitating, and it's going to limit you from reaching your full potential. You mentioned transitions. We talk to advisors, and we're a platform for independent financial advisors. So we're always recruiting new advisors to our platform and bringing them value and things such as that. And the biggest reason that we have to combat every single time is the fear of losing clients. When indeed we've done the research, and 99%, if not 100%, of all clients that advisor has pre-joining RFG and other platforms, follow them around. Because here's the deal: the relationship is what is important to the client and the advisor. And I had this conversation with a couple of advisors yesterday. I'm shifting gears a little bit, but they're looking at they're joining RFG here over the next month, and they're like, how do I relay that message to my clients? I'm like, well, the first thing you don't want to do is go to your clients and say, hey, I'm making a move. You're going to have to sign some paperwork, but guess what? Nothing's going to change. And I looked at them. I'm like, why would you say that? Because if I'm the client, I'm going to look at you as an advisor and go, well, why in the hell are you going to make me sign a bunch of paperwork if things aren't going to be a little bit better for me? If you're not going to a platform that's going to give you resources, support, and things to better our relationship and better our situation. So, you as advisors, you've got to crush that fear. Don't let it debilitate you. Make sure that you're in a position, you have the proper mindset, and you get over the fear. Now, let me say this: we all have fear. You can't go through life and not have fear. It is a natural emotion, but you've got to have the ability to convert that fear into another emotion. I like to convert fear into love. I fear two things in my life. Okay, I fear a lot of things, but there's two things I combat every day of my life. I have to struggle with that fear. I fear the safety and health of my children. Because sometimes that's out of my control. They're growing up. My daughter's 16. I don't have full control. She loves her independence, but I fear that, and that's a fear I have to live with it, and I have to control it, and I have to crush it, and I have to get over it so I can enjoy through her the independence she's getting, that this is a positive thing now that she's driving and all this other stuff. You know what the second thing I fear is? Being fearful. Because I speak so much about not fearing, I can't let myself go into that mode of being fearful about every single thing. You mentioned succession planning. That's one of the biggest things. Only 15% of financial advisors in the United States have a succession plan.
And how old are they?
61, 62, 63, depending on what demographic or what survey you read on that given day, or what report you read. 61 to 63 years old is the average age of an advisor in the United States, and only 15% of them have a succession plan. You know why? Because they're fearful of losing their identity. They're fearful of losing and, maybe not getting the price that they think that their financial advisory practice is worth, because they've spent their entire lifetime building it up. When indeed, if you crush that fear and you engage with an investment banker or a platform like ours who helps our advisors in realizing the true enterprise value of their practice, then you find what it takes and what you need to do to have in place for you to get the most enterprise value that you can get. And now you're leaving a legacy, right? Because your clients don't want you to just turn the lights off or get hit by a truck. They want you to have a succession plan. Bobby, what happens to you if you kill over? What happens to you if you decide in the next year, you know what, I'm burnt out. I'm just burnt out. I'm going to retire in the next year. I'm not, by the way. But what if you did that? You got to be able to answer that question. You got to be able to answer that question, because your job is to plan and advise these clients. You're not doing planning for yourself because you're fearful of losing your identity. You've got to crush that fear. And there's one other thing you mentioned in there that advisors tend to fear.
They fear transition. They fear succession, and they fear growth.
They fear growth. Yeah. It's funny because you get to a certain amount of AUM, if you will, as we call it in our industry. Say you're $100 million of assets under management. That's what most financial advisors' initial goal is. Like, man, if I can get up to $100 million, I can generate X amount of revenue. I have this amount of clients, and I can serve my clients this way. And then you reach that goal, and it's like, either you become fat and happy, you've got a pretty good practice, you're making a very good living. I think that's great. But if you did that in a reasonable amount of time by using the proper technology in the industry and surround yourself by A players in the industry, then why not go to 250 million? Okay. Once you get to 250 million, again, if you've got A players that you're surrounding yourself by, only assets, you've got the proper technology, the proper know-how, the resources, why not be $1 billion advisor? We tend, as advisor, I'm an advisor, I can say this, we tend to fear the unknown. And by doing that, as I said when I started, is fear can keep us from reaching our full potential. We've got to crush the fear.
So as it relates to your career and crushing fear, share the story about growing RFG and setting a goal to double the size of the firm.
Everyone said I was absolutely nuts. So it's 2014. We were still very small, relatively small as an advisory platform. We were approximately 450 million under management, and I spent a lot of time over the 2 years prior to that, investing time and energy in what was my platform, RFG's platform at that time, in the management team that I had. I had my compliance officer, my chief investment officer. I had a great team that could support a $500 million to $1 billion shop. The only problem was we were 450 million. So I'm like, okay, I've got it in place. Now it's time to go. It's time to grow. So let's grow. And so I went on what I call a crusade to double the size of the firm over the next 12 months. Didn't reach that goal because I crushed my fear. I tripled the size of the firm in 18 months. So I literally went from 450 million to 1.2 billion in 18 months. Everybody thought I was crazy. You're going too fast. You're eating too big of an elephant. How are you going to handle all this? I really intentionally turned these people off. I closed my ears. I wouldn't listen to them. I didn't want to hear that negativity. I was just running, going, crushing through the wall, doing what I needed to do to accomplish the goal that I put in front of me. And then after we accomplished that goal, we went to the 1.2 where we're sitting now here between 2.2, 2.3. I realized I had outgrown my platform. I realized I had outgrown some of my management team and things such as that. So then fear set in again, and so I had to crush that fear and take it to the next step. And that's where we tore the house down. That was RFG 1.0. And now we sit here at RFG 2.0. You got to crush fear and you can't listen to negative people. Surround yourself by only A players and assets.
And now we take you to Captiva Island with Bobby and Dom. Fear can be the biggest thing that holds us back from reaching our full potential. How do you conquer fear?
Fear is something that you absolutely need to have a relationship with, because you can't deny that you're going to have fear about something. You have to embrace the fear that's there, be able to convert it. And conquering that fear first is identifying it. Accept to yourself that you're going to fear something. There's going to be that gut feeling. There's going to be that nervousness. There's going to be that fear of the unknown. That's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just want to talk about buzz. It's always the fear of the unknown that gets guys to quit. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, we're going to this scary door. Next is all these crazy things. And then boom, guys would just walk and leave. I'd be like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. You don't even know what's behind the door. And I think that there's a scenario out there somewhere, whether it's a true story or not. It was basically somebody saying, hey, listen, we can either kill you right now, or you can go out that door where there's just these terrible things that are going to happen to you. You're going to be tortured. You're going to be all these other things. And they end up killing the guy. He's like, I'd just rather you just off me. But out the door was freedom. Wow. And it was just a whole concept of the unknown will crush you. Mm-hmm. And you cannot let that happen. And in order to counter all those fears that we have to be willing to take risk, and we have to be willing to step into the unknown, taking what we love with us the most. Because the only way to conquer fear, or the best way to conquer fear, is to embrace it, convert it, but to replace it with what you love. Mm-hmm. If I think about my daughter, if I think about my kids, if I think about my wife, if I think about you, if I think about the people that are living in this earth that are just beautiful human beings, mm-hmm. like I want to fight for that. I want to fight for God's children to be able to do what they're supposed to be able to do, to be unhindered, to be free, to live out that life. Like that fires me up enough to fight for it.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mentioned earlier that I think I do have a healthy fear of failure. I know it's out there. I've never failed big in my life. I've had rough days. Don't get me wrong. There's been valleys in my life without question. But I've never allowed myself to fail in a large way because I'm terrified. And I know that, and I use that as fuel. And you say you got to convert it. You got to convert it to love and respect, right? If you convert that fear to love and the people that are important to you and that you care about, your kids, your spouse, your partners, whoever it may be, and you respect that fear, then it's fuel. You can use that fuel to take it to have to go back to the will to fight, to have the will to fight, to do what it takes to go and crush the unknowns that are out there.
I think the sacrifice and the suffering that we go through in this life you have to be able to have something in your mind that you do love.
Yep.
And I think that if you don't love something, you can find yourself in a really bad place. And I truly believe that that's why that worst case scenario is so important, is that no matter how sick, no matter how messed up, no matter how maimed, no matter how bad it gets, as long as I'm able to hold on to what's most important to me, that I love the most, I'll be willing to push through whatever fear comes my way. Because really, at the end of the day, I'm doing it for them. I'm going to push through for them. It's not about me. If it was just about me and it was that shallow and superficial, then I'd probably find myself in a lot deeper of a challenge than knowing it's for something bigger.
Absolutely.
So how do you channel that fear, Bobby, in making business decisions? How do you overcome being just paralyzed by what ifs?
Well, it kind of goes back to what we said earlier about being uncomfortable. You get comfortable being uncomfortable. That to me is another state of mind. Fear will paralyze you. It's to Dom's. I've never heard that before. Where people said, "Okay, I would let you just go ahead and off me instead of open this door to freedom, even though there's going to be some bad crap happen to me." I'm like, "Wow, you're talking about paralyzing fear. That's about as bad as it gets." It's that state of mind. You can't allow what is uncomfortable to shut you down. And it's crazy. I see it all the time in business. I mean, people, the unknown is out there. Well, I've never tried this. You know what? This is going to be risky. I'm going to have to invest some money. This is going to take some time. It's going to be hard. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting it's going to get better. I mean, come on. So you can't, everybody's going to have fear come into their minds and their hearts. And you've just got to be able to embrace that and convert it. You can't allow it to paralyze you. And it kind of goes back to the Leah scale too. Liability, independent asset. An asset is not going to allow. And I'm not talking about an asset in just combatives or whatever, business, personal, whatever. If you've got that asset mentality, you're not going to allow it. It's like, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable. I'm kind of afraid. It's okay to say that. Okay, then embrace it and convert it. You've got to have that special thing in you to not allow the fear to paralyze you. And I'm not saying the people that allow that to happen sometimes are bad people. They're not. It's just, they haven't gone through the proper channels of getting the right mindset. All this is going to full circle,
Yeah. And I believe that converting the fear is probably one of the most empowering things that we can do. So it's starting small. Like I tell people, it's like if you're not able to do that, like right now, I don't think that there's anything that I could come across that I wouldn't be able to convert the fear to. Out of all the experience that I have and everything, and there's always the unknown, but the principles stay the same. Bring it on. If something happens right now, I don't give myself a choice. I have got to take that feeling right here that tries to paralyze me and convert it immediately into empowerment, strength, confidence, clarity, clear communication, eyes open, awareness, everything comes into play to me because that's how I've programmed myself at this point. And I believe it's important for everybody to do the same thing. Whether it's a business decision or whether it's a tactical decision, we have to go into those moments converting that fear immediately. If you're walking through that threshold, like, all right, here we go. Oh, wait, the nervousness and the fear just hit me and I couldn't even have control of it. Right. Because most of the time we don't have control over it. You have got to get control of it and be able to convert it right away. And what you use to do that is the most important thing, which is why we talk about what do we love? What are we doing this for? Why am I walking in this meeting room to begin with? Right? What's bigger than me that's keeping me going on this? Why am I serving other people? How is this impacting other people? How is this changing lives? How is this going to help humanity? All those things play a part in each and every decision you're able to convert those things to.
Absolutely. Mindset programming, man.
Mindset programming. Yeah. MSP.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us. For more content like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media.